I never thought my wife's laughter could be the sound that shattered my world. 7 years of marriage, 7 years of trust, and it all came crashing down on a Friday night in September. Amanda was hosting a girls' night downstairs, while I worked in my second-floor office. I could hear everything through the open window. Her voice slurred with wine cut through the air like glass. She told her friends I was too stupid to realize she had been cheating for years. They roared with laughter. I stood frozen, a glass of water trembling in my hand. Before I tell you what I heard that night, I want to know where you are watching from. Drop your location in the comments, hit that like button, and subscribe if you have ever trusted someone who did not deserve it. Because what happened next changed everything I thought I knew about my marriage. Now let me take you back to where it all started. Amanda and I met at a coffee shop in Portland 9 years ago. I was a software engineer who had just landed a good position at a tech startup, and she was working her way up in marketing. The attraction was instant. She had this energy about her, this brightness that drew people in. I was quieter, more reserved, the kind of person who preferred small gatherings over big parties. We balanced each other out, or so I thought. We dated for 2 years before getting married. The wedding was simple, just close family and friends at a vineyard outside the city. We bought a modest house in the suburbs, nothing fancy, but it was ours. Amanda got promoted to marketing manager at a growing firm downtown. I transitioned to working from home most days, which gave me flexibility, but also meant I spent a lot of time alone in my office while she climbed the corporate ladder. We talked about kids but decided to wait. Career first, family later. We had plans. A bigger house in 5 years. A trip to Europe next summer. Everything seemed on track. Amanda traveled for work occasionally, sometimes 3 or 4 days at a time. I never questioned it. She was ambitious-driven, and I respected that. I trusted her completely. Looking back now, I see how naive I was. But at the time, everything felt solid. We had our routines. Friday nights, she would often have friends over while I stayed upstairs. I did not mind. I liked my space, and she liked her social time. It worked for us. That Friday in September started like any other. Amanda had mentioned earlier in the week that she was having Jessica, Brianna, and Courtney over for wine and appetizers. I planned to stay in my office headphones on working on a coding project that had been consuming my attention. Around 10 o'clock, I realized I had not eaten dinner. I headed downstairs to grab some water and maybe a snack. The house was warm, filled with the sound of music and laughter from the back patio. I could smell the remnants of cheese and crackers they had been snacking on. I filled my glass at the kitchen sink, and that is when I heard my name. The window above the sink was open, and voices carried clearly from the patio just below. Jessica's voice came first. "Amanda does he still not know anything?" Laughter erupted loud and careless. My hand froze on the faucet. Amanda's response came slowly, her words thick with alcohol. "He is too stupid to realize. I have been cheating for 3 years." The laughter that followed felt like a physical blow. I stood there unable to move, unable to breathe. The glass nearly slipped from my hand, but I managed to set it down on the counter. My heart was pounding so hard I thought they might hear it from outside. Brianna spoke next. 3 years. How have you kept it hidden that long?" "It is easy," Amanda said, and I could hear the smirk in her voice. "Luke is always home, always in his little office. He never asks questions. I just tell him I'm going on a business trip, and he believes me every single time." "So who is this guy?" Jessica asked. "My old boss, Brad. We started hooking up when I was still at my last company. Even after I switched jobs, we kept seeing each other. Every time I say I am traveling for work, I am really with him." Courtney's voice had a hint of concern. "Do you not feel guilty at all?" "Guilty about what?" Amanda laughed again. "Luke makes good money. He takes care of the bills, keeps the house nice. Brad gives me excitement, passion, everything Luke is too boring to provide. I get the best of both worlds. Why would I give that up?" More laughter. They clinked glasses. Someone made a joke about having their cake and eating it too. I stood in that kitchen, my whole body numb. Part of me wanted to storm outside to confront her right there in front of her friends. But something stopped me. Maybe it was shock. Maybe it was the sudden clarity that came with betrayal. I picked up my glass, walked carefully back upstairs, and closed my office door. I sat in the darkness of my office for hours, listening to the muffled sounds of their party below. My mind raced through the past 3 years, rewinding like a broken film. Denver last month. She had gone for 3 days, said it was a conference. San Francisco the month before that. 4 days, for client meetings. Boston, Seattle, Atlanta. How many times had she lied? How many nights had I sat here alone, trusting her while she was with him? The pain was crushing, but underneath it, something else began to grow. Anger, yes, but also a cold, sharp clarity. If I confronted her now, she would deny it. She was drunk, she would say. Just joking around with the girls. I had no proof, just overheard conversation. She could delete messages, cover her tracks. I needed to be smarter than that. I made a decision that night. I would not say a word. Not yet. I would gather evidence, build a case, protect myself. Because, if 7 years of marriage had taught me anything, it was that Amanda was good at getting what she wanted. I would not let her twist this situation to her advantage. Morning came too soon. I heard Amanda stumble upstairs around 2 in the morning, giggling to herself as she navigated the hallway. I pretended to be asleep when she crawled into bed. The smell of wine on her breath made me sick. When she woke up around 11 hungover and squinting against the light, I was already up. I had made coffee, set out aspirin and water for her like I always did after her girls' nights. Morning, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Rough night. She groaned, reaching for the aspirin. We went through 3 bottles of wine. I am never drinking again. You always say that, I replied with a small smile. Did we keep you up? I hope we were not too loud. I had my headphones on. Did not hear a thing. The lie came easily. She smiled, relieved, and kissed my cheek. You are the best. You know that I nodded. Turned back to my coffee and began planning my next move. The first step was simple. I suggested we install a tracking app on our phones, framing it as a safety measure. With all your traveling, I said casually over breakfast a few days later, it would make me feel better to know where you are, just in case something happens. She agreed, without hesitation. Why would not she? She had no idea I knew anything. Within days, I had access to her location history. I started checking it compulsively, cross-referencing with what she told me about her schedule. The lies were everywhere. A client dinner in the city showed her at a hotel downtown for 4 hours. A late meeting had her 30 miles away in a residential area. Next, I went through our shared laptop. Amanda was not particularly careful with her digital footprint. My wife is going to be at a hotel in Atlanta with another man. I need proof. Mr. Harris was professional, discreet. He took the job without judgment. 3 days later, I had a folder full of photographs. Amanda and Brad, entering a luxury hotel together, holding hands in the lobby, kissing by the elevator, having drinks at the hotel bar. The photos were damning, clear, undeniable, time-stamped. I added them to my growing collection of evidence. Amanda laughed, said I was useful for paying the mortgage while she had her fun. But I kept reading. I kept copying. I needed everything. 2 weeks into my investigation, Amanda announced another business trip. Atlanta, 3 days, important client presentation. I smiled, nodded, told her to have a safe flight. Then I called a private investigator I had found online, a man named Mr. Harris, who specialized in infidelity cases. I need photographic evidence, I told him. When she woke up around 11 hungover and squinting against the light, I was already up. I had made coffee, set out aspirin and water for her like I always did after her girls' nights. Morning, I said, keeping my voice neutral. Rough night. She groaned, reaching for the aspirin. We went through 3 bottles of wine. I am never drinking again. You always say that, I replied with a small smile. Did we keep you up? I hope we were not too loud. I had my headphones on. While Amanda was in Atlanta, I also met with a divorce attorney. Patricia Morgan came highly recommended, known for protecting her clients' assets in messy splits. I showed her everything I had gathered. "You have done good work here," she said, reviewing the documents. "With this level of evidence, we can ensure a favorable outcome for you. The infidelity will impact the asset division." "What about the house?" I asked. "Joint asset. Typically split 50-50. But given the circumstances and documentation, we can argue for a larger share or force a sale with advantageous terms." I nodded. "I want to move forward, but I need more time to prepare financially. I want to separate our accounts first. Patricia advised me on how to do it legally. Over the next 2 weeks, I quietly transferred my portion of our joint savings into a new account in only my name. I documented every transaction, kept every record. I was not stealing. I was protecting what was mine. I also continued monitoring Amanda's messages. The communication with Brad was constant. They were planning a weekend getaway next month. Amanda told me it would be a work conference in Miami. The hotel she booked with Brad was nowhere near any conference center. Every piece of evidence felt like another cut, but I kept collecting them. I had to be thorough. I had to be certain. Because when I finally confronted her, there would be no room for doubt, no possibility of her talking her way out of it. 4 weeks after that terrible Friday night, I had everything I needed. Bank statements showing my money was protected. Legal documents ready to file. A new apartment leased and waiting, though Amanda had no idea. Mr. Harris had delivered his final report, comprehensive and damning. It was time. I chose another Friday night exactly 2 months after I had overheard the truth. There was a symmetry to it that felt right. Amanda came home from work in a good mood, talking about her day, completely oblivious to what was waiting for her. I was sitting at the dining room table when she walked in. In front of me was a large manila envelope. "Hey, babe," she said, setting down her purse. "Why are you sitting there? You look so serious." "We need to talk," I said quietly. "Sit down." Her smile faltered. She looked at the envelope, then at my face. "Luke, what is going on?" "Open it." Her hands shook slightly as she picked up the envelope. She pulled out the contents slowly. The divorce papers were on top. Underneath were the photographs. Then the printed emails, the text message transcripts, the hotel receipts, the private investigator's report. Page after page of her betrayal, documented in brutal detail. The color drained from her face. She looked up at me, eyes wide. "Luke, I can explain. Can you?" My voice was calm, almost emotionless. "Can you explain 3 years of lying? 3 years of cheating? Can you explain laughing about how stupid I am with your friends?" She went pale. "You heard that. Every word. 2 months ago. You and Jessica and Brianna and Courtney, sitting on our patio, drinking our wine, laughing about what a fool I am." Tears started streaming down her face. "I was drunk. I did not mean it." "You did not mean it, Amanda. I have 3 years of evidence here. This is not about one drunken comment. This is about hundreds of lies, dozens of trips, an entire relationship you have been hiding." She reached for my hand across the table. "Please, Luke, it is not what you think. Brad does not mean anything to me." I pulled my hand away. "Then why did you keep seeing him? Why did you tell him you loved him in these messages? Why did you plan a future with him?" She had no answer. She just cried harder. I stood up, pulled out another set of papers from my briefcase. "I have already filed for divorce. My lawyer has everything. The house will be sold, and we will split it, according to what the court decides. But given your infidelity, do not expect to get more than you deserve." "You cannot do this," she sobbed. "This is my home too. You should have thought about that before you destroyed our marriage." I picked up my briefcase. "I have also moved my money out of our joint account. Only my earnings, nothing that was yours. It is all documented and legal. You still have access to your portion. Where are you going?" "I already have a new apartment. I moved my things out yesterday while you were at work." Her face crumpled. "Luke, please, we can work through this. I will end things with Brad. I will do whatever you want. It is too late, Amanda. You made your choice. Every single time you lied to me. Every trip you took. Every night you spent with him while I sat here alone trusting you. I am sorry, she whispered. I am so sorry. I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing but emptiness. I know you are. But you are not sorry you did it. You are sorry you got caught. There is a difference. I walked to the door, picked up the last box of my belongings that I had left there. Amanda followed me, still crying. Luke, wait. Please, we can talk about this. There is nothing left to say. My lawyer will contact you about the proceedings. What about work? What about Brad? I paused at the door. Oh, I forgot to mention. I sent an anonymous email to your company's HR department about your relationship with Brad. Apparently, company policy frowns on romantic relationships between former supervisors and employees, especially when one of those employees is now working at a competitor. They are investigating. Her face went white. You did not. I did. Actions have consequences, Amanda. You taught me that. I left her, standing in the doorway sobbing. I did not look back. The next week was chaos. Amanda called constantly. I did not answer. She sent emails, text messages, long, rambling apologies. I forwarded everything to Patricia and blocked Amanda's number. True to my word, Amanda's company launched an investigation. Brad, it turned out, was still married. His wife had no idea about the affair either. When HR contacted him as part of their inquiry, his whole life unraveled, just like Amanda's had. Amanda was fired within 2 weeks for violating company ethics policies. Brad lost his job too. His wife filed for divorce. Amanda's friends, the same ones who had laughed with her that night, started distancing themselves once the truth came out. Turns out people do not like being associated with someone who destroyed their own life through lies and betrayal. I heard through mutual acquaintances that Amanda was struggling. No job, no marriage, no support system. Part of me felt bad, but mostly I felt free. Then 2 weeks after our confrontation, there was a knock on my apartment door late at night. I looked through the peephole and saw Amanda standing there, mascara running down her face. I opened the door but did not invite her in. What do you want? I asked. Luke, please. I have lost everything. My job, my friends. Brad left me when things got complicated. You are the only person I have left. You had Brad, I said coldly. What happened to him? His wife found out. He chose her. He said I was just a mistake. I almost laughed. So now that he does not want you, you come back to me. I know I do not deserve it, but please, I am begging you. Can we at least talk? I looked at her, really looked at her. She was broken, desperate, nothing like the confident woman who had laughed about betraying me. And I felt something I had not expected to feel. Not satisfaction exactly, but a quiet sense of justice. Amanda, I said slowly, do you know what the saddest part of all this is? It is not that you cheated. It is not even that you lied for 3 years. It is that you thought I was too stupid to figure it out. You underestimated me. You saw me as someone you could use and discard whenever you wanted. I never thought that she protested weakly. You did. You told your friends I was too stupid to realize. You laughed about it. You made me the punchline of your jokes. But in the end, who was really foolish? I built a life, a career, a future. What did you build? Lies. And now those lies have buried you. Please, Luke. I am sorry. I will do anything. There is nothing you can do. You made your choices. You chose Brad over me. Excitement over stability. Lies over honesty. Now you get to live with those choices. I made a mistake. No, Amanda. A mistake is something you do once and regret. What you did was a pattern, a lifestyle. You chose it every single day for 3 years. She reached for me, but I stepped back. I gave you 7 years of loyalty, trust, and love. You gave me betrayal. We are done. The divorce will be final in a few months. Move on with your life, and let me move on with mine. I closed the door. I heard her crying in the hallway for a few minutes before she finally left. I never saw her again. The first month after everything fell apart was the hardest. Not because I missed Amanda, but because I missed the illusion of what I thought we had. I mourned the marriage I believed in, the partnership I thought we shared. It was like grieving a death, except the person was still alive, just revealed to be someone completely different than who I thought they were. I started seeing a therapist, Dr. Susan, who specialized in trauma and betrayal. She helped me understand that what I was feeling was normal. Betrayal trauma, she called it. The psychological impact of discovering that someone you trusted completely had been deceiving you systematically. You are not stupid for trusting your wife, doctor. Susan told me during one session, trust is the foundation of marriage. She violated that foundation. That is on her, not you. Those words helped more than I expected. I had been carrying so much shame, feeling like I should have known, should have seen the signs. But Dr. Susan helped me see that I was not naive. I was just a person who believed in the commitment we made to each other. There was no shame in that. By the second month, I threw myself into work. I took on a major project at my company, something that required long hours and intense focus. It was exactly what I needed. The project was a success, and my boss noticed. I got promoted to senior engineer with a significant salary increase. I also started going to the gym. Not because I wanted to get revenge or make Amanda regret losing me, but because I needed to feel strong again. Physical strength somehow translated to mental strength. Every morning I woke up at 6, went for a run, lifted weights. My body transformed, but more importantly, my mindset did too. I reconnected with friends I had neglected during my marriage. My college roommate David lived across town. We started having lunch every week. He had been through his own divorce years earlier and understood what I was going through. The best revenge is living well, David told me one afternoon over burgers. Not because you were trying to show her anything, but because you deserve to be happy. He was right. I was not doing any of this for Amanda. I was doing it for me. By the 4th month, the divorce was finalized. The judge had been sympathetic to my case. With all the evidence of Amanda's infidelity, the asset division favored me significantly. I kept the larger portion of our savings. The house sold quickly in a hot market, and after paying off the mortgage, my share gave me a substantial nest egg. I used that money to buy a sleek apartment in downtown Portland, close to my office. Floor-to-ceiling windows, modern kitchen, a space that felt like a fresh start. I furnished it exactly how I wanted. No compromises, no discussions. Every choice was mine alone. Around the 6th month mark, something unexpected happened. I ran into an old friend from college at a coffee shop. Sarah had been in my study group for our computer science classes. We had lost touch after graduation when she moved to San Francisco for a job. Luke, oh my God, is that you? She was exactly as I remembered. Warm smile, intelligent eyes, genuine kindness radiating from her. We grabbed coffee, caught up on the past decade. She had moved back to Portland a year ago, was working as a project manager at a tech firm downtown. She was single, had been for a while after her own difficult breakup. Relationships are complicated, she said, with a rueful smile. I have learned to be okay on my own. I am learning that too, I admitted. We exchanged numbers, promised to stay in touch. A week later, she texted me about a new restaurant downtown. Did I want to check it out? It was not a date, we both made that clear. Just two old friends catching up. But over the next few months, those friendly dinners became something more. Sarah was different from Amanda in every way. She was honest, direct, never played games. When she said she would call, she called. When she made plans, she kept them. There was no drama, no manipulation, just genuine connection. I was cautious at first. The wounds from Amanda were still healing. But Sarah was patient. She understood I needed time to trust again. I am not her, Sarah told me one night when I apologized for being guarded. You do not have to explain your hesitation. Just know that I am here, and I am real, and I am not going anywhere. That honesty was everything. Slowly, carefully, I let myself open up again. Not because I had forgotten what Amanda did, but because I realized that punishing myself by never trusting anyone again would be letting her win. A year after the night I overheard the truth, I found myself sitting in my apartment on a Friday evening. Sarah was curled up on the couch, next to me reading a book. Soft music played in the background. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see the city lights twinkling below. I thought about Amanda, not with anger or pain, but with a strange sense of gratitude. Her betrayal had destroyed me, but it also freed me. It forced me to see clearly, to value myself, to build a life based on truth instead of illusion. I learned that betrayal shows you who people really are. Amanda showed me she was selfish, entitled, willing to sacrifice everything for temporary excitement. Every trip you took, every night you spent with him, while I sat here alone trusting you. "I am sorry," she whispered. "I am so sorry." I looked at her, really looked at her, and felt nothing but emptiness. "I know you are. But you are not sorry you did it. You are sorry you got caught. There is a difference." I walked to the door, picked up the last box of my belongings that I had left there. Amanda followed me, still crying. "Luke, wait. Please, we can talk about this." But in the end, she lost everything, while I rebuilt my life into something better than it had ever been. She underestimated my strength, my resilience, my worth. And that was her biggest mistake. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead you to the best versions of yourself. And sometimes the person who calls you stupid is the one who never understood your strength. I did not just survive what Amanda did. I became someone better because of it. And that is a victory no one can take away. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been betrayed by someone you trusted completely? How did you handle it? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, hit that like button and subscribe to hear more stories about overcoming life's toughest challenges. Share this with someone who needs to hear that they can survive betrayal and come out stronger. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that you are stronger than you think, and that sometimes the end of something painful is just the beginning of something beautiful. Stay strong out there.